Welcome back to another podcast, and today I am joined with Koray.
Hello, Kajra. Thank you for inviting me. I can tell you that this will be the most professional SEO podcast in the history of search engine optimization.
Perfect. I'm glad that I've got your stamp of approval on that.
Yes, it's hard to not notice the professionality around here.
We do not mess around. We're in Dubai. We may as well do it properly in person. So, first of all, thanks for joining me. But
thanks for inviting.
I want to ask you So you're known as the Topical Authority guy now, but let's go back a few years and talk about how you got into SEO.
Okay.
And when you weren't Mr. Topical Authority, I feel like that's the name that everybody gives you nowadays. Yeah. But what did you do before?
So when I was about to graduate from the university, I was looking for something to do. And I actually even did a few internships in different areas like social media, marketing and other sections. And I didn't like it because they were usually doing the same thing repeatedly for every other company, especially like scheduling the shares, etc. And I found it like, okay, this job doesn't require any talent, any skill. It's always the same thing. And I can't do it for 40 years or 50 years. And I hated it. Then I was in the gym and I was just expecting to find something interesting. One of my friends approached me and said that actually there is something called SEO. And because of the O at the end, I thought that it is actually a drug because like oxygen or something. I thought my friend actually became a drug dealer and he is cooking something and suggesting the same thing to me because SEO, I never heard it before. And I was at the gym and it was actually, I was working leg during that day, I remember that. And I just said to him, let me just finish this set and I will come back to you. Then I asked him that, are you sure that you want to sell the drugs? And he explained that actually it's not the drug, it's actually, let's say, search engine optimization, and you rank the websites, you just solve an algorithm, you solve a puzzle, and that puzzle changes all the time.
Okay.
That change section actually attracted me because if it's always changing, it means that you always have to do the research, you always have to think in a critical way. And the best part there is, even if someone does SEO for 20 years and you just start 6 months ago, let's say, you can still compete. Because, again, I am telling that, of course, the experience is the most expensive thing when it comes to the search engine optimization. It's not easy to manage these projects. Until you get to that point, you have to spend years. Mm-hmm. But still, if you're a hardworking person who does critical thinking analysis all the time, you will always have a competitive edge. You will always have a superiority. And it was the thing that actually attracted me most. Then I started from actually one, let's say, white hat internship. Then I accidentally, or with the coincidence, I started from the black hat and the casino section. And until to the medic update, 1 August 2018. And it is a date that I never forget because we lost 3,000 websites in a single day. It wasn't easy, and we have also spent millions while trying to bring it back. We couldn't. Mm-hmm. That's why it is one of the things that actually I'm trying to stay away from, things like CTR manipulation, fake traffic, because it always reminds me something bad in the past. But I also know a few people who does these things with different type of combinations to make it click, make it trigger. The only thing is that until we try to do that trigger, we lost millions.
Yeah.
So it is a story of actually how I started to read patterns and how I started to explore these ideas from Google engineers, designers. Then I started to create a terminology. Terminology became methodology. Then methodology created case studies. Case study created the communities. And then we came here like a godfather of the Topical Authority, we can tell.
It's funny that you say that SEO is like or you thought it was a drug, because now I feel like I speak to so many SEOs, and the reason why they do SEO is because it's a ever-changing algorithm. They're trying to crack the algorithm to get to the top of Google, so they're addicted to SEO. And in a weird way, it kind of seems like I suppose a much healthier drug, right?
Yeah, it always keeps your brain sharp, actually. And sometimes I just do SEO for like an exercise, actually, like to keep myself sharp rather than just money or business. You enjoy it after a point. It's like playing with a machine all the time. Yeah. And if you love, actually, I believe the machines or mechanical things, you will love SEO too. There are lots of mechanical dynamics in the search engine result pages.
Yeah, definitely. So how are you finding the traveling? Like, obviously you're speaking at a lot of conferences. The reason why Koray's laughing at that question is because we were downstairs waiting for the podcast studio to get set up, and he obviously gave his answer then. It'll be interesting to see if it's the same answer that he gives on the podcast.
Yeah, the most honest podcast.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, I love actually being united with the SEO communities around the world, from Thailand, Vietnam, or to the Dubai as here, or Estonia, Poland, and Bulgaria, Hungary, etc. But at the same time, it is very tiring, and it should be considered like a second job.
Yeah.
In my situation, I had a huge motivation to do these speeches and writing these case studies before. One of them is I just wanted to change the industry in my way, and I wanted to prove people that there is another way, and you can also standardize SEO a little bit at least, and you can have, let's say, well-detailed concepts, and you can connect these concepts to each other to form a, let's say, a pattern to understand the search engine optimization in a more scientific way, like an academic. And I believe since we came to the like 15,000 people in our communities, we achieved that purpose. And lately, since I see this achievement, I started to see this traveling and going to the other speeches just for helping the organizers. It is a bit like time suicide after a point, I can tell it honestly. But at the same time, I feel like I am still helping people, and I know that I'm helping also the friends as well to organize their events. So I don't have a regret there, but I believe 2024 will be the last for these travel sprints. And I believe this year we will do the Holistic SEO Summit in Istanbul, or maybe Kuşadası. We are trying to decide that. Then I guess I won't be going to any other SEO events that much, to be honest. I can just come if you are attending with James, Carl, and others. Then we can have some crazy shit going on.
Yeah. So you heard it here first. If you want Koray at your conference, book him in for 2024, because after that, you're done. Only going to speak in.
I need to.
To be fair, I think it's probably good that you are focusing your time elsewhere, because a lot of people would think that the conferences, you get paid millions, you get played on it, you get flown into with a private jet. It's not actually the case.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a good time being able to be around friends and
Definitely.
like what you said, like guys that have potentially done your course and stuff, helping them out. But from a business, like if you were to take your SEO hat off and put business hat on, it's probably not the best time spent.
Definitely.
Growing your
And I said it
business.
before too. Being the best SEO in the room is not my main target anymore. I just started to think like a more like a business person in this year and the next years too. I will work on that, because when you do SEO for SEO, it becomes your passion and you can't stop doing that. But at the same time, it is your profession, and you need to focus on actually the business purposes more. And it's one of the reasons that I am trying to balance, let's say, the events with my business. And lately, since we do lots of traveling, we need to stop after a point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So recently you got married.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
It's one of the reasons also I'm stopping the events as well.
That was going to be my next question. Do you think it's because you've gotten married and potentially you might be looking to have kids that you're going to slow down a little bit, or?
Yeah, it is. When you are married, actually, you start to of course think about the kids and other type of possibilities. Then you want to actually prepare yourself, because right now, let's say if you didn't automate or scale everything as it should be, it means that having the kids is like, it will be like business or the kid. Mm-hmm. And I can't do such a thing to a kid, and I will choose the kid. Then the business will go down and it won't be a pleasant scenario. So that's why I need to actually dedicate my time mostly to do my own business, so that actually I can have a healthy family. And while helping friends from Thailand to the Vietnam to the Hungary to the all other countries, it's not possible. And also I am moving out to the Kuşadası from Istanbul, as you know. Our house is completed, but still we couldn't manage everything, because I needed to come to the Dubai, for instance, again. Mm. So pausing these processes after a point, it makes you to think what I am doing. Yeah. So we already did lots of things for the community. Let's focus on ourselves. And I suggested the same, actually, many consultants around the world as well. Helping others is nice. You should do it, of course. But after the marriage, you will start to change. And after that, people will understand me better too, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. So, there's been, every time I've done a poll on my YouTube, and I've asked, like, who's everyone's guest that I'm going to have on as a podcast or for the podcast. And every time there's been somebody that's either said Matt Diggy or Koray, right? And
thank you to the audience.
Yeah, but every time when somebody said Koray, there's always been a reply saying, you need to ask him about topical maps, right? And I feel like there's going to be a lot of listeners that are like, come on, ask him about topical maps, right? So, and this was one of the questions that I actually had to think about for quite a long time, because you obviously get a lot of hate, which we'll loop back around to, because people say that you overcomplicate things, right? Now, I don't think that's true, because I understand how your brain processes things, that you read every single Google patent there is. So I think that this question is probably the best way that I can ask you for everybody that's listening. So if I'm a 3-year-old, right, explain to me what a topical authority is first, and then we'll come up with a topical map for a keyword that I've selected. So pretend I'm a 3-year-old.
Okay.
What's topical?
First, is this question from James?
No, it's not. No.
Okay. For a 3 years old, it might be hard, but I will try. So let's assume that we are trying to rank the cookies. I guess 3 years old kid would love some cookies.
Let's say a 6-year-old.
Let's say 5 or 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Thanks for making it easier. Then the cookies is a nice choice. Okay, so let's say we are trying to actually cluster and classify the cookies according to their tastes, their brands, and different type of features of them. And then we try to also rank them according to their, let's say, eating order. Which cookie would you like to eat first? And that cookie actually represents your website or your, let's say, the article in this case. And the kit is the search engine.
So let me just pause you for a second,
Okay.
right? So chocolate chip cookie, right?
Okay, chocolate chip.
Yeah.
Chip.
It's like the most common type of cookie,
Okay.
right? So it's a cookie with chocolate in
Dips,
it.
maybe.
Yeah, it's chocolate dips. Yeah. So we're on the same page, right? So you're saying that you need a separate page, potentially, for every single type of cookie.
First of all, it is about the queries. If the users are not searching for one of these words, you have used 3 words there, chocolate dip cookie.
Yeah.
Basically, if one of these words don't appear inside the queries, that word won't be having that much weight or that much effect. In this situation, you might skip some of the, let's say, the words with a function. It might be an adjective, it might be another noun, and you can try to merge it with another one, like, let's say, chocolate cookies only.
Chocolate cookies
and
only,
the dips might be one of the bottom headings there because there is no query for it.
Okay.
If you open a new page for every entity and their every type, then you will be exploding and bloating your website. What we try to do is actually having less pages with more values based on the queries. Because when you look at the things from the search engine's point of view, what they always try to do is answering a search query, answering a search term. If there is no query, it doesn't important that much. It's not that much matter for them.
Am I right in saying that, let's say nobody was searching for chocolate chip or chocolate dip cookie, right? You wouldn't want to do a page on it. You would only do like a page on.
We have seen these situations. I remember an old example from previous times. It was something like taco. The differences or similarities between taco, burrito, and a few more others. Some of them are not searched in certain ways. Let's say, I assume and make things up right now, and that assumption might be wrong, but let's say the burrito with cheese. If burrito is very, very similar with another food or another type of, let's say, wrap, let's assume, and if it has the cheese, search engine brings that, despite it is not a burrito.
Okay.
Because it's a closest sample there, and if there is the query there, the cheese, the addition of the cheese, if it is important, that one comes. If it is not important, it stays with the previous one. It is a little bit about actually understanding how this query works.
The cheese is almost like a modifier.
Yes.
Correct? Right,
yes.
okay.
Because according to that, they will understand the user in a different point. The cheese there, as I have given for that 3 years kit example, because every cookie has different type of specs. Some of them don't have this, and some others have another one. Cheese, if it is not a attribute for taco, I am not an expert for Mexican food, I'm just making an example here. If it doesn't belong here, and if it is an important term in the query, they will look another entity that can have the cheese. If it is too similar to this food, which is taco, then they will bring that one. So based on this, actually, according to the most important word in the query, according to the user's preferences, these entities will be switching each other. That's why usually I am telling that creating a topical map is not like creating a list of concepts or list of phrases or list of keywords. You need to understand how the search engine will present these or how they will be connected to each other.
Okay. So at a very simple way to understand, right? We want to rank for chocolate cookies, right? How would you get the important keywords that you want on that
First
page?
of all, let's do the work together.
Okay.
First of all, he didn't tell me any question before. Everything is improvising here. So if you have the chocolate cookie, the first thing that you need to do is, and maybe you can edit later, let's say this is chocolate, this is cookie here.
Yeah.
And the first thing that you need to do is inserting some words between this. Let's say, I don't know, cooked chocolate, or let's say sweet chocolate, or different type of words can come here. Different type of words can come between. Others can come to the end. For instance, to the end, you can bring recipe. You can bring brands, manufacturers, effects or side effects. Or you can bring the word is here, then you can ask it is healthy. All these combinations you have to take. Then all these combinations, one by one, with different probabilities, they will start to be distributed to the queries. And let's say queries are represented by this wall. Every combination of words that can be created from the phrases that you have given will be matched to the queries or the search terms on the wall. These possibilities will be ordered according to the possible search intents. If a user wants to cook this thing, the recipe will be heavier and recipe-related SERP features will be coming there. Or if a user just wants to buy this specific cookie from a market or from somewhere, then let's say the local map pack will be coming there. But usually these possibilities changes based on the user clusters. If, for instance, it might be changing from month to month or even morning to the night. These probabilities always forces us to add every context to our page. If I'm a recipe website, I will go with the recipe. But sometimes I also tell this to the clients. To rank for this query, for instance, this is the heaviest context. And it might be, let's say, a local context. But you are a recipe website. That's why I'm telling that let's catch the search intent at the top, and in the middle section, let's connect the page to ourselves. At the top, I can go with restaurants, markets, or manufacturers, or whatever the query actually is mainly about. In the middle section, I can bring it to my brand or my own recipes, for instance. This way, I can satisfy certain amount of users with my own website, plus I can satisfy the users who are not interested in me as well. One point there is, Google has to connect and gather everyone to the same search engine result page. And I am creating a curation of it with a proper order according to all these possibilities.
So that's when you start talking about micro and macro content?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. Main content, supplementary content, macro context, micro context.
Yeah.
According to these possibilities, we order them. And according to what we do, how we make money, we start to create other supporting pages. If we are about, let's say, a gluten website, I will go with gluten-free cookies. If I'm a website for celiac disease, for instance, I will directly put gluten-free cookie recipes there, and I will put directly celiac disease symptoms, celiac-related things, researches there as internal links. If I'm just a recipe website, for instance, I will go for other, let's say, the recipes. If I'm a parenthood website, I will go for cookies for kids. Yeah. According to what I do, I catch the query with the context, I create enough level of content to rank there, then I connect it to myself from different other areas. The important thing here is, usually people don't check other websites that much. They check just the 3 top ranking web pages from that query, and then they create that page. Then they check another query and 3 another top ranking one there, another 3, another 3. Usually these other 3s are not aligning with each other that much too. And most of the time for our topic, we get all the ranking, maybe 600 domains. We analyze them and then we try to understand how Google actually classify these websites and which one of them is appearing in the Google Discover and which one, for instance, doesn't appear, because the one that appear in the Google Discover has more relevance to the specific topic. Then we start to actually get its, let's say, unique information more by even making it richer to ourselves, because to be able to be a topical authority, you need to push another website from outside of that state. To be able to do that, one by one, you need to eliminate all these competitors. It looks like a very white hat term, I know it, but at the same time, you are actually eating other websites while doing this.
Yeah.
If you are the authority there, the other one won't be that much authority anymore.
Yeah, an interesting point that you just made is you give more weight to a website that's ranking for a certain keyword in Google Discover.
Yes.
So for anybody that doesn't know that, if you are doing like any form of topical or keyword research, try to put a little bit more weight on websites that are actually doing
because Google Discover is
Google Discover.
Queryless search, which means that there is no query there. No one searches something in Google Discover. Google suggests it to you. Yeah. And usually what Google Discover system is doing is they just order the topics, they order the websites, they match topic to the website. And most of the time, entertaining, interesting entities are ranking better. In one of the case studies, Strike That Money, I explained it, for instance. We got to discover traffic in 5 months from 0. And it's actually an interesting point because most websites, brand new websites, they don't appear on Google Discover and Google News that fast. We did it, and all the web pages that get traffic from the Google Discover, they were about politicians or let's say the investors, but it is about persons, books, podcasts. These are fun entities. You won't see that much content in Google Discover if it is about just, I don't know, scientific things like botanics. Yeah. Or these boring things won't be appearing there because Google wouldn't suggest it to you. Google Discover is more like interesting. It should be interesting. It should be entertaining. It should be intriguing or triggering you as much as possible. And podcasts, books, they do that, which means that actually you should check this type of entities or topics more when it comes to the Discover.
Right, okay. That makes sense. So I want to go back to the topical map, right?
Okay.
So and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been asked this before, and there's obviously been a lot of websites that have been hit from the helpful content update, from the core. Yes. And one thing that I have started to recommend is if you want to rank for best running shoes for men, let's say.
Okay.
What people used to do is they would do Topical Authority like this. They would do a page on best running shoes for men, best running shoes for women, best shoes for running a marathon, best shoes for treadmill, etc., etc. And they would gain Topical Authority like that, kind of like a TF-IDF approach, right? Term frequency and document frequency. Now your website almost needs to be a knowledge hub where you almost don't want the visitor to just click on your affiliate link and leave, right? Which I feel like that's what a lot of the websites that got hit were doing. So now my recommendation is why aren't you talking about the best places to run? Why aren't you talking about potentially vitamins that you can take before a marathon? Why aren't you talking about how to run faster? What foods is there to run faster?
It's true.
So is this kind of like an approach that you would take when you're looking at a topical map? It has to
be in that way. There are 3 points here. First of all, if you are not a brand, if no one searches for you, if you don't have any direct traffic, or if you don't have any prominence on the web, if you would be disappearing today from the SERP, if no one just wonders what happened, it means that you are not that important and you might not be even a real business. Because of that, Google actually would be, let's say, less sensitive while actually demoting your website. This is one of the things that actually the websites that get hit. The second thing is that most affiliate websites especially, this is my humble opinion, but I am buying things from web maybe over 10 years. I never changed my idea even once based on these niche websites, to be honest. Even once. Because I know that they put to the that best list, they put the highest combination to the top. That's it. If you search for best hostings, the Hostinger or others, they are at the top because they give higher commission, not because they are really the best. I am not telling that they are not the best. I didn't check the response times or other things, but I know that they give the highest commission, and that's why they are at the top. So this creates the problem of sponsorship, because there is an unhidden or non-told sponsorship. It's not that different actually to the, let's say, link schemes at the same time. The third thing is that most of these websites, they don't give information beyond common sense. Even if they write about how to run faster, they don't put any, let's say, unique info there. For instance, let's say to run faster, you need to exercise 3 times a week. Even if they tell it, they don't provide any proof, any experience, or anything there. It's just 3. Another website says 5. And according to whom, basically? It requires a real expertise and also a perspective and experience in the subject. The last part there, you are right, actually. They need to focus on also explaining and defining everything that is appearing in these phrases. I'm not telling you to go to the history of shoes or origin of the shoes, of course. Yeah. But if someone buys these things, let's say for trekking, you can actually give also the places to use the specific shoes as well. If there is a specific material in the shoes, you should be able to explain it one of the pages too. In one case study, it was a bookstore, and I published it like 2 years ago, I believe, and it became the 5th biggest e-commerce website in Turkey during this approach. In the product pages, of course, we always and only focus on the commercial section there, but we were even giving the materials that we were using in the book cover.
Yeah.
Everything we were giving directly there. Even we were giving actual meaning of the book cover too. We were also talking about the, let's say, the refund policy, shipment policy, or also we were giving the alternative approaches to the book. We were explaining the product from every angle directly in the product page, like the sales page, and it worked actually. We fixed lots of things. It also helped us to connect every book to an author biography. Every author biography is connected to all the poem books, novels, or different areas. We also connect it to the genres. Let's say this is a crime novel. We also go to the other crime novels and the novelists. And again, it goes like that. And we also open the pages for important characters in these novels too.
Right. Okay.
Because when you rank for a certain type of entity group from a certain topic, search engine starts to pick your expertise and they start to give you more prioritization on the rankings. Out of 2 reasons. First, they are able to trust. Second, cheaper. Because I don't want to check 5 million different websites for every query. I can't do that. No one can do that. That's why if a search engine finds a good website about a topic, even if it doesn't have the links, they will still actually rank it. The links will make it faster, more permanent. It's certain. It's basic math there. But at the same time, imagine like this. There is a website, and if search engine ranks it, it means that they are satisfying users with a lower cost. They wouldn't wait until someone linked them because it might take even 2 years. You know the web. No one links themselves that much naturally. So also it's something that I'm getting angry to the Google. Whenever they say get your links naturally, it doesn't happen that much, okay? It's not common for people to link somewhere else that much actually. So since Google knows that they need to wait maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, they don't wait. They just directly start to test the website. And if people also ask questions or in different type of SERP features. If the website passes these, let's say, the quality tests, after a certain type of quality algorithmic updates, it increases traffic, and with a broad core algorithm update, it just explodes. This brings me another point. Usually, affiliate marketers, especially, if a website just wins a core update, they start to exploit it. And the new published content is irrelevant nearly to the old one.
Yeah.
They dilute the topicality, and they decrease the overall quality. Then they lose the next core update and they start to complain too. So this is one of the common issues.
So basically, I've seen this happen a lot of times. When a website wins a core algorithm update, the website owner gets a little bit more greedy, let's say, right? So let's say that the website initially was only talking about the best hostels in Spain or the best hotels in Spain, right? They had every single town and village in Spain. And then they win in a core algorithm update. They maybe get plus 5,000 clicks a day. And they're like, right, okay, that's good. Let's start doing pages for best hotels in Thailand and then let's do the next page. Let's do best hotels in Poland, and we're not gonna do every single town and village in Poland. We're just gonna base it off search volume, and then that's when they get hit.
Definitely, and this brings me to an example, because if also people take the video back, I just said that when you try to rank for, let's say, chocolate dip cookies, I said that they check the top 3 rankings only, but they don't get the relevances and similarities between these top ranking websites. When you go to the top, let's say the villages or attractions for the Thailand, the top ranking websites there might be very hugely different than the others.
Yeah.
And your, let's say, source identity or Google's perception for you might not be working for other areas. And once you go there, you might not see the same authority effect as well. Exactly. I had the same with one case, the holistic SEO case, that if they search on Google, they will find it. The owner of the company, since he saw that actually we dominated entire energy industry and electricity, he asked for more investment. He got maybe 2 times or 3 times more investment. Then he started to write for everything, like the credit, finance, internet service providing, anything. And this is a comparison website, basically. And it got hit. And I actually told it before that hit actually happened. But once the money comes in, people get, let's say, greedy, and they don't listen to the consultant or the expert that much, because until it gets hits, more money comes.
Yeah.
So they don't care that much.
What's the terminology used? That, like, I understand the theory, I just don't understand what the word is. But when you're comparing your website to, let's say, just a travel website in Spain, what's that called? The terminology?
Source context will be better there. Source context. Because the context that you are ranking is not the same that context they are ranking there. If you're a tourism website for Spain, and let's say if you're a tourism website for Thailand, it seems very similar. Both are tourism for countries, but the Spain tourism and the motivation for going Spain is very different than Thailand.
Yeah.
And that difference, usually people don't calculate that much. One has elephants, the other one has something else.
Yeah. The other one has tacos, I suppose, right?
Spain, I am sure, has lots of things.
Yeah, but would you say that if I was a website, let's say I've had a positive ranking state, I'm in a positive ranking state after after a core algorithm update, and then I decide to go after Thailand keywords, would you say the source context of my website would then be more so similar to like a booking.com? As opposed to...
Yes, you have to have a reason to rank there. Search engine has to find a usability in the website. If you are just an affiliate for the tour companies, you might not be needed there that much, because there are already websites that satisfy the hotel need, car rental need, and also any other need that you can actually find for going somewhere. And because of these, let's say, global websites, especially like, let's say, TripAdvisor, they basically get all the tours, all the hotels, all the roads, even attractions, even the possible health-related policies in every country. They write everything for every country. That website actually can work out because they have huge resources. They already have thousands of referring domains or referrers around the world. It's also a brand and real-world business. Google also knows that. Plus, they have millions of reviews in the website, which is another issue because it's also a forum, which Google promotes the forums. And TripAdvisor already has a forum section with all the comments as well. And that's why that website can rank. But when it comes to the local websites, we had one actually like that. Dear Henry has it from Greece. Rentalcentercrete.com it should be. And I believe it will be okay to give the website name. And we work like 2-3 years during the summers usually. Usually what we see there as well, and he can verify, I believe, during the winter, for instance, the website ranks lower, but TripAdvisor still stays at the top because TripAdvisor ranks for, let's say, all the Greece and also all the islands and all the countries. And popularity and traffic is also a ranking increasing effect. If your website gets traffic from somewhere, other web pages will be ranking higher too. This brings me to the concept of trending node, which means I am creating some pages just for exploiting some trends. In one of the websites, during the Ukrainian war, we rank higher because we had lots of articles for Ukraine. We didn't write them for war, but people wonder things about Ukraine. They read lots of things about Ukraine, and other pages rank also higher. Because of that, for instance, TripAdvisor, since they rank for all countries, multiple languages, they will always have a superior hand against you. If you go against these global websites, you have to go way much deeper for certain localities. If you don't have some of the functions that they have, your job will be even harder in this case. This is one of the reasons that after the helpful content update and latest core updates, only forums and major global companies rank. It's a little bit like that because others are not that much business, to be honest. They just pump up the content all the time.
I said this after the helpful content update. Everybody was complaining, saying that why is Reddit or Quora ranking above me? And I said, guys, what happens if when, say for example, Koray replies to a Reddit forum, what happens after I reply to your Reddit forum? You get an email or a notification on your phone.
Yeah.
And then you revisit that page, so there's more dwell time on the page.
Definitely.
There's all of these factors. Everybody just thinks that the algorithm is just content and links.
They think like citizens who complain to the king, to be honest. But Google is not like that. Google's job is just satisfying the user, and if it happens with Reddit, they will do that. One more point about Reddit, by the way. Maybe it will be coming out in the next years, but I assume Reddit will be going into the IPO, which means it will be a public company. It will be selling, I guess, the 10% of their shares. And I feel like Google is one of the secret investors there. Because if they invest in Google, if Google invests in Reddit, and if Reddit goes to the higher in terms of traffic, and then if it goes to the public, to sales, it means Google's money becomes also more. Plus, Reddit is also a search engine already. Yeah. So it's one of the theories from me. I don't know whether it is real, of course.
Do you think that it was a strategical purchase from Google because OpenAI gets a lot of data from Reddit, and they could potentially say, right, no more giving data to...
It is a good point because Google already announced that they have access to the data API of Reddit. It is one of the huge advantages because when Google comes to your website, they actually make a request to your server, then they take all the resources, then they render your page, then they check it, etc. For Reddit, they don't go to the website at all. Yeah. They have a data API for every user, for every comment, for every subreddit. They get everything with a fire hose, basically, like in Twitter too. And it means that actually Reddit already has given them the data API. The second thing is that, I said it in one of my Blue Hat case studies, there is a subreddit, LE5, which means explain it to me like I am 5. And Meta was using this subreddit for training its own language model. And I assume that Google is trying to imitate conversations in Reddit like humans so that it can actually make its own chat systems or, let's say, generators or generative AI systems way much better too. And it works every way because if you own the Reddit becomes more valuable and you send the traffic to the Reddit and Reddit has humans, which you again avoid the AI traffic as well or the content. And at the same time, you have all the training resources and others might not have it after a point.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
It would be a very good strategical move for them actually. I don't have the proof, but I will do that, to be honest, if I were them.
Yeah. So moving on to your agency, I really like the name Holistic, right? Why did you name it Holistic SEO?
Because I love SEO, search engine optimization, and one thing that I didn't like when I was working in one of the agencies in the past, they were charging for everything, and the purpose wasn't getting success at all. I am not telling that agencies shouldn't charge. They should charge high, especially. I'm defending that. But the one thing there is, whenever there is something extra, they are charging it again. Imagine that I am a consultant in an agency and I want to make the project successful, and a director comes to me and tell that you can't give this to this client, even if it works, because we don't charge for it. Technically, he is right. I understand him today. For 3 years, I didn't understand him. Today, I understand him better. But then I find this, let's say, the term a little bit. It was already out there, but I just made it something like this. We do holistic SEO, and you are just our customer, and we do anything for making your website and business online successfully. We don't discriminate or put different verticals there to just play with the packages or different type of things. Every website has a different scenario, according to you, we tailor the solution and we start doing that. It helped us to get clients from news industry just for Discover or again the affiliates, and from Costa Rica to Puerto Rico to the Israel or to the even Japan. From everywhere for every industry, we have clients today, thanks to this approach mainly. And since I love SEO, it's a little hard for me to focus on a single section of it, because then you can't learn the other areas that much. But from renting a car to do, let's say, just personal loan or glasses, for instance, or eye health at the same time, or some other industries, we always have something to focus on. And it makes me happier, actually. It's like being a commando for SEO, basically.
Yeah, definitely. So this is probably the biggest question I've got for you.
Okay.
How'd you deal with the hate?
It's not that hard, actually, because when you get a huge success, it's normal. It will happen. And after a point also, I understand them too. Because I believe there are 2-3 reasons there. One is the link building agencies see me as a threat, despite I say always that I am not against link building. I also do that. Even in my Saigon speech, this was the first sentence. Still people tell me that, do you also do off-page here? And if I do that, I tell it already explicitly, but you don't read the case study. That's why you don't know it. So I do it. And the second reason I believe there is many other or some other SEO influencers, and I don't define myself as an influencer. I'm just a guy who makes research and writes. That's it. And it's up to you whether you will get the influence from me or not. And I don't care about it. And the second reason I believe, people try to explain things in a very simple way, but they don't accept that actually search engine optimization is pretty complex. It's not like if it will be easy, you will be able to teach it to anyone. It's not like put this keyword to title, to URL, and to your first paragraph, and then put some internal links here, some images, then structure that, and you will rank. Then everybody will rank. But it means that there is a subtle point there that helps search engine makes a differentiation by configuring the algorithm. And I know that they have over actually 70,000 patents, and only a small portion is actually for search, and they pay lots of money for these things. If I'm paying $2 million for filing an invention as a patent, I will use it. And when I look at the patents, it's not that easy. It's very complicated files, actually. And I believe this is one of the reasons. Sometimes they don't read, and they just assume that we make things complicated, but in fact, we actually make it very much more simplified, because no one else will be able to explain these concepts by creating these sub-concepts, connecting them to each other, and creating a pipeline, and repeating the process with over 100 websites by giving website names, writing everything in a detailed way, over 500,000 words in 3 years. It's not an easy process, I know, but we did it eventually. It's one of the reasons that actually I want to focus on business more too, because how many other case studies I shall write? So after a point, you just don't care. And at the same time, the loving side just makes it disappear.
I hate showing case studies because there's always somebody that says, well, you could have done this. Well, why didn't you do that? Well, it's only 50 clicks a day. Why is it not 65?
Yeah, the worst part is I remember that once I have written a research. It was about authorship.
Yeah.
I waited 6 months to publish it because I knew that the time wasn't right. This is one of the reasons that I waited for my course 2 years. Because if I would launch my course 2.5 or nearly 3 years ago, no one would get anything and everything would be very much worse. That's why I published many case studies so that they can get a preparation for it. And the industry also became more, a little bit, let's say, the semantic focused. Large language models came and they started to get things better. In a similar way, for that point of view too, like, well, maybe this, well, maybe that. Once I have written a research for algorithmic authorship and overall authorship identity, one of the many major publications, they say that, well, this is just a bit of research, but let's not publish it. I remember that 7 months later, they have written the same thing nearly, just for ranking purposes. Because people, even if I don't tell, they realize that authors matter. And they started to focus on, as James says too, author transparency at the same time. And when I published that research, I remember that some SaaS SEO tools, they say that I say this for all the cheap seats. There is no such a thing like author prominence, author rank, whatever, etc. Then after 1 year, the same people, they all were actually sharing the Googlers' words and the updates all about these things, and they were examining just the SERP features. If they would read the patterns in the first place, you would get that actually they were coming to that point anyway.
Yeah.
So it's one of the reasons for these reactions, the negative reactions. You say something, they don't believe, then Google does it, then everyone says it suddenly. It's one of the dynamics in the industry, to be honest.
Yeah, it's we've tested a lot with offer rank and offer transparency. It is definitely a thing. We've tested it on a much smaller scale, where all we've done is we've just changed the offer from John Doe, for example, just a made-up name, to, for example, James Dooley, which is like the SEO expert and stuff like that. The page ranks, and then as soon as we switch it back, it de-ranks the page. So there is definitely a thing. There's also we've recovered websites from offer transparency as well in like the finance industry, news industry, and stuff like that. So it is definitely a thing. So when people say EAT,
believe me, I have written
whatever,
that research 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So many people found it actually inspirational and liked it. But some people also, it was even in all these news roundups from different organizations, they said it is a discussion, Googlers stayed silent, and this person from this company says that it's not working. Another funny thing is, by the way, in a third paragraph, I remember, I was saying that, look, I am using this specific term, not as in the patents. We redefine it with the current situation.
Yeah.
Then the one person who were criticizing, he was directly telling that this term is from this patent and Google said that before it's not working. If he would be reading just 3 paragraphs, he would get that, okay? But people just look at the heading, and the image, then that's it. They don't read. I find SEO industry interesting because of that. There are many treasure-seeking people. They spend lots of money and time for finding the treasure, but they don't read. The reason that I am reading, I lost 3,000 websites in a single day. Once it happens, you start reading, actually.
Yeah.
And I suggest the same, everyone. So shall you not lose these websites?
One thing so I've got some quick fire questions, but before we move on to those, I've got another way of thinking about SEO. And what a lot of websites that were hit by the helpful content update, I would consider a lot of the websites as what people would call as doorway pages, right? So you search best running shoes, you click the affiliate link, you never go back, right?
It is.
Have you ever heard of the Wikipedia game?
Wikipedia game?
Yeah.
No.
It's a really fun game, and I can see you doing this after this podcast, right?
Okay.
So you can go to, let's say, the Wikipedia page for Justin Bieber, the singer, right? And with the internal links, you can end up on the page for Spain, because they are a massive knowledge hub, however many pages they
eventually
have.
all of them connected.
Exactly, right? My theory is now that you need to be the knowledge hub for your industry. So if you want to talk about cookies, you need to be talking about, can pregnant women eat cookies? What temperature can you bake cookies? All of these pages will help you support for your articles, and that's what I'm trying to explain now. And very similar to yourself, I get a lot of hate for it.
It's not a surprising thing. Once I remember that actually, but this was like 4.5 years ago, and also Bill Slawski, he was in that discussion too. And one of the reasons, by the way, I published most of these case studies is that after Bill passed away, I felt like he was writing since 2006, and I felt like all of them will gone because no one reads.
Yeah.
No one reads. And then I felt like, okay, he has created all this knowledge, no one reads, and it will be forgotten. Then actually I just wanted to take it way further points in a practical way, simpler way, so that many people also can do that. And today we're actually 15,000 people. Many people learn and do these things. And I'm very happy to see that from iGaming, especially lately, we have lots of attraction too. If iGaming, since I am coming from there, if they are doing something, it means that lots of things are changing. Because if, let's say, looking at the moon is ranking you, entire iGaming industry will be doing it 7/24. So if they are coming today to do this point of view, it means that it is working. It makes me happy. And on that discussion with the Bill, Someone told Bill that, okay, so I have a website for movies. Do I have to win Oscar? So Bill was laughing at the question, of course, but you don't have to win the Oscar to rank a website, okay? But at least try to be sincere about what you do. And you are right, most websites are just doorway pages. I see the same also between aggregators or comparison websites and the service provider. And this is always a thing. If you check certain type of search engine result pages, you will always see that sometimes comparison websites rank higher. Sometimes, let's say, the banks or actual service provider ranks higher too. And this changes from update to update. For instance, in Google patterns, they call it composite search score, which means that instead of individually scoring every website, they create a compose or composition from the websites, and they score each composition with each other. If aggregators makes more sense, they rank aggregators higher. Yeah. That pattern was just explaining that. And this is what already happening after every core update. We see certain websites rank higher, like forums this time. Yeah. For instance, and also many people don't get this situation too. Let's say your website loses rankings. It doesn't mean that you are doing something wrong. Just Google prefers different type of websites in this situation. For instance, it's also one of the things that people should be realizing as well.
That's the biggest thing that I always recommend to someone after a core algorithm update. I say to them, go and look at what is ranking now and make certain that the intent is similar to what you're doing. So, for example, if you have a numbered list and everybody else has a HTML table, you're probably going to want to switch over to HTML table. Or, for example, if there's infographics or whatever else.
Especially for, let's say, application queries, usually they require a form or input area, for instance. And this is what we tell in terms of source context. What you do determines who you are. And based on that, your rankings change as well. You can't rank for credit application without having an application form. It's pretty obvious for the search engine. And they will try to prevent you from ranking there as well. And if you have an application form, if you are not the application source, still there is no reason to rank there because people need to go another website to apply basically. You are just a bridge.
Yeah, definitely. So I have 3 quick fire questions.
Okay, from James?
No, not from James. So quick fire, they need to be quick. You can't go on a Koray 45-minute talk, right? Sorry. So what is a triple semantic?
Predicate, let's say subject, predicate, object. It means that we remove any unnecessary word and we directly get the essence of these sentences, like Tom Hanks acted in Green Miles. Okay. And in this case, you have just 3 components there: predicate, subject, and object.
Right, perfect. So then what is source context?
I said it actually already. It basically determines your connection with the query. As a service provider, as an aggregator, as an affiliate, as a bank, or as a car rental service, or whatever. But who you are determines whether you will be ranking or not. If you don't have a reason to rank, search engine wouldn't rank you.
Yeah, I think source context is super important.
Primary focus. Google already tells it on the helpful content update too. The website should have a primary focus.
And then the last one is, let me just pick a random one, query expansion.
Oh, nice one. Sometimes it's also called query augmentation too. The query that is written to the search bar is not the same with the search engine preference, which means if you might be searching for the, let's say, the best cookie, search engine might make this query to the by best cookie. The by addition there means the expansion, because search engine turns the query into the form that they understand. Actually, this is one of the reasons because people try to rank for 2-word queries, but the processed version of that query is not 2 words. You should be able to see the non-written words there. If you are able to calculate that non-written versions as search engine is doing, then you will rank higher.
Right, okay. And then the last question I have for you is, what's one failure you have had this year? It could be anything. It could be website related, travel related, conference related, anything.
I believe during especially the casino days, we have focused on crypto a lot during the days, because since money came from somewhere, we needed to put it somewhere. Yeah. And crypto was the smartest during that time. we have focused so much to the crypto, we neglected the PBN. And we lost the PBN after that point. It is one of the failures because I could stay in casino. Still, I regret that actually I left the area. Probably in the next years I will return as well.
Good stuff. So where can people find you, Koray?
I believe they don't need to search actually. They just find eventually after this point.
Holistic SEO?
Holistic SEO website. You can come to our Facebook group. You can join our newsletter, Discord channel, Reddit subreddit. We have Telegram channel. And you can subscribe from YouTube, or you can follow on Twitter, LinkedIn, anywhere that you want. We are everywhere nearly.
Perfect. Thanks for joining me, Koray.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks everybody for watching. I'm hoping that everybody has been able to take some actionable tips. I feel like you've shared quite a lot, to be fair. So,
thank you so much.
Thanks.